Angel Reese just destroyed her entire career with 5 words, and the Chicago Sky are ready to trade her before she can quit on them first. What she said about her teammates wasn't just disrespectful, it was career suicide, and now multiple WNBA insiders are confirming that Chicago's front office is secretly shopping her around the league. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Not a single team wants her, 0 offers, nothing. And when you hear what she really said behind closed doors, you'll understand why even her biggest supporters are turning their backs on her. Before we dive into the shocking audio that just leaked, make sure you hit that like button if you think Angel Reese is the most overrated player in WNBA history. The comments are going crazy on this one, so drop your thoughts below. The 5 words that started this whole mess came during what was supposed to be a routine interview with the Chicago Tribune. Angel Reese looked directly at the camera and said, quote, "We can't settle for this," unquote. Sounds harmless enough, right? Wrong, because what happened next exposed everything wrong with her attitude. She didn't stop there. She went on to basically call out every single teammate by name, including Courtney Vandersloot, a 2-time WNBA champion who left a championship contender just to help Chicago rebuild. Reese said, and I quote, "We can't rely on Courtney to come back at that age she's at. She dismissed a future Hall of Famer like she was some bench warmer, and that was just the beginning." But that wasn't the whole story. Sources inside the Chicago Sky locker room are now revealing that Angel Reese has been causing problems since day one. Multiple players have reportedly requested trades specifically because they can't stand playing with her. One veteran player, who asked to remain anonymous, told ESPN that Reese, quote, "acts like she's LeBron but plays like she's never touched a basketball before," unquote. That's coming from her own teammate, the same teammate who watched Reese lead the entire WNBA in turnovers despite missing 6 weeks with an injury. Think about that for a second. She played fewer games than almost everyone else and still managed to turn the ball over more than any player in the league. 101 turnovers in just 26 games. That's almost 4 turnovers per game from someone who demands superstar treatment. What happened next would shock everyone in the basketball world. The Chicago Sky called an emergency team meeting, but it wasn't to discuss strategy or prepare for the playoffs. It was specifically to address Angel Reese's comments and behavior. According to 3 different sources who were in that room, the meeting turned into what one player called, quote, "the most uncomfortable hour of my career," unquote. Veteran players lined up to tell Reese exactly what they thought of her public comment. Marina Mabrey, who has since been traded, reportedly stood up and said, quote, "You haven't earned the right to talk about anyone on this team," unquote. Another player allegedly told Reese that she was, quote, "the worst teammate I've ever had in 15 years of professional basketball," unquote. The tension got so bad that head coach Teresa Weatherspoon had to physically separate players. And here's where it gets even crazier. Reese reportedly stormed out of the meeting, slammed the door, and hasn't spoken to half the team since. That was 3 weeks ago, and insiders say the locker room is completely fractured. Some players are Team Reese, but most are secretly hoping she gets traded before next season. But the real bombshell dropped when someone leaked audio from a private conversation between Angel Reese and her agent. In the recording, which has been authenticated by multiple sources, Reese can be heard saying, quote, "I'm done with Chicago. Get me to LA or New York. I don't care what it takes," unquote. She also allegedly said, quote, "These players are beneath me. I need to be playing with actual talent," unquote. When her agent reminded her that she's under contract for 3 more years, Reese responded, quote, "Then I'll make their lives hell until they trade me," unquote. The Chicago Sky front office is now in full panic mode. They invested everything in Angel Reese, trading away Sonia Citron, who just made the All-Star team as a rookie and is currently 2nd in Rookie of the Year, voting behind Caitlin Clark. They brought in veteran players specifically to complement Reese's game. They even built their entire marketing campaign around her. And now they're stuck with a player who openly admits she wants out and is willing to destroy team chemistry to get her way. What makes this even more shocking is the timing. This all went down right before the Sky's most important game of the season against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. A game that Reese had been trash talking about for weeks on social media, but instead of backing up her talk on the court, she got herself suspended for her 8th technical foul of the season. She literally couldn't control her emotions long enough to play in the game she claimed would prove she was better than Clark. And while Reese was sitting at home serving her suspension, Caitlin Clark dropped 31 points and led the Fever to a blowout victory. The contrast couldn't have been more obvious. One player lets her game do the talking, the other can't stop running her mouth long enough to actually play. The suspension itself is a whole other story that nobody's talking about. Reese didn't just pick up a random technical foul. She deliberately hit Aaliyah Edwards in the head during a rebound attempt. The replay shows Reese looking directly at Edwards before swinging her arm. It wasn't a basketball play, it was frustration boiling over because she was getting dominated on the boards by a player making half her salary. The refs saw it, the league reviewed it, and they had no choice but to suspend her. This wasn't some conspiracy against Angel Reese. This was a player who can't control her emotions, costing her team when they needed her most. But here's what really exposes Angel Reese as potentially the biggest fraud in WNBA history. Let's look at the actual numbers, not the hype. She averaged 13.8 points per game this season, but here's the part nobody mentioned. She shot 39% from the field. That's horrifically bad for someone who takes 90% of their shots within 5 feet of the basket. She literally can't make layups consistently. There's a compilation video going viral right now showing Reese missing 17 consecutive layups in practice. 17. These aren't contested shots either. These are wide open practice layups that high school players make in their sleep. Her rebounding numbers look impressive at first glance, averaging 12.3 per game, but dig deeper and you'll see that over 40% of her rebounds are her own misses. She's literally padding her stats by grabbing her own bricks. One statistical analyst broke it down and found that if you remove the rebounds from her own misses, she averages just 7.2 rebounds per game, which would rank her outside the top 20 in the league. She's not a great rebounder. She's just a terrible shooter who gets multiple attempts at the same possession. The turnover problem is even worse than the raw numbers suggest. Reese doesn't just turn the ball over, she does it at the worst possible moment. In clutch situations, defined as the last 5 minutes of close games, her turnover rate jumps to an astronomical 32%. That means nearly 1 out of every 3 possessions where she touches the ball in crunch time ends with a turnover. That's not just bad, that's historically awful. No player in WNBA history with that high of a usage rate has ever had a worse turnover percentage in clutch situations. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, who Reese constantly compares herself to, is having one of the greatest rookie seasons in WNBA history. Clark is averaging 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds while shooting 42% from 3-point range. She's already broken multiple rookie records and has the Indiana Fever in playoff position after they won just 13 games all of last season. The difference is night and day. One player elevates her teammates, the other tears them down. One player shows up in big moments, the other gets suspended for losing her cool. What really shows Angel Reese's true character happened just last week. After the Sky were eliminated from playoff contention, Reese posted on social media, quote, "This poverty franchise doesn't deserve me," unquote. She quickly deleted it, but screenshots spread everywhere. She called the organization that gave her everything a poverty franchise. The same organization that marketed her as the face of their team, that traded assets to build around her, that stood by her through controversy after controversy. That's not just ungrateful, that's delusional. The response from other WNBA players has been brutal. Diana Taurasi, the league's all-time leading scorer, was asked about Reese's comments and simply said, quote, "Some people need to learn what earning respect means," unquote. Sue Bird posted a cryptic tweet saying, quote, "Grateful for teammates who actually want to win together," unquote. Even players who usually stay out of drama are taking shots. Ajo Wilson liked a post that said, quote, "Imagine having Angel Reese's ego with Angel Reese's skill set," unquote. When the best players in your league are openly mocking you, you've got a serious problem. But the most damaging revelation came from Reese's former coach at LSU. In a leaked group chat that's been verified by multiple sources, the coach wrote, quote, "Angel was uncoachable from day one. I'm not surprised by any of this," unquote. The coach went on to describe how Reese would regularly skip practice, ignore play calls, and create drama with teammates. The only reason it didn't become public at LSU was because they were winning. But now that Reese is on a losing team with no college PR machine protecting her, the truth is finally coming out. The Chicago Sky are now desperately trying to trade Angel Reese, but they're finding out what everyone in the league already knows. Nobody wants her. The Los Angeles Sparks were reportedly interested until they spoke to former teammates. The New York Liberty laughed off the suggestion when Chicago called. The Las Vegas Aces wouldn't even return their calls. One Western Conference GM told The Athletic, quote, "We wouldn't take her if Chicago included 3 first-round picks," unquote. That's how toxic her reputation has become in less than 1 full season. Here's something that just broke this morning that nobody's reporting yet. Angel Reese's agency, Clutch Sports, is reportedly considering dropping her as a client. Sources inside Clutch say that Reese has been impossible to work with and her behavior is starting to affect their other client. She allegedly screamed at Rich Paul during a meeting because he wouldn't demand a trade publicly. She's burned through 3 different publicists in 4 months. Her own representation is ready to cut ties, and that almost never happens unless the situation is completely unsalvageable. The final nail in the coffin might be the sponsorship situation. Reebok, who signed Reese to a multi-million-dollar shoe deal, is reportedly having emergency meetings about voiding her contract. The moral clause in her deal allows them to terminate if she brings negative attention to the brand, and her recent behavior definitely qualifies. Mercedes-Benz already quietly ended their partnership with her last month. Beats by Dre removed her from their website. The money is drying up fast, and without endorsements, Reese's WNBA salary of $73,000 won't support the lifestyle she's been flaunting on social media. What's really sad about all this is that Angel Reese had everything set up for success. She was drafted to a major market team, had the full support of the organization, and was positioned as one of the face of the league's new generation. All she had to do was work hard, be a good teammate, and let her game develop. Instead, she chose to attack everyone around her, make excuses for her poor play, and create drama at every opportunity. She's the perfect example of how ego and entitlement can destroy a promising career before it even starts. The contrast with players like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham couldn't be more obvious. While Reese is burning bridges and pointing fingers, Clark is breaking records and lifting up her teammate. Sophie Cunningham just had the best season of her career and didn't need to trash anyone to do it. They show up, they work, they win. That's what real professionals do. They don't demand trades after one season. They don't call out teammates in the media. They don't get suspended for dirty plays. They just ball. As we wrap this up, the question isn't whether Angel Reese will be traded. It's whether any team will be desperate enough to take her. The Chicago Sky are stuck with a player who openly hates being there, teammates who can't stand her, and fans who are starting to turn on her. They can't trade her because nobody wants her. They can't keep her because she's destroying the locker room. They can't even bench her because she'll make it a media circus. It's the worst possible situation for everyone involved. This story is far from over, and it's only gonna get messier. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on this whole situation. Is Angel Reese the most overrated player in WNBA history, or is she just misunderstood? And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we'll be covering every development as this story unfolds. Drama in Chicago is just beginning, and you won't want to miss what happens next.